Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Good day, YouTube. Alright, we are going to make this short and sweet today. Keep it simple to the point. First off, get a couple deep breaths. Shake the muscles out a little bit. Deep breath. I just want to make sure it's coming in all right. So, all right, we good. So we're gonna make it real quick this morning. Monday. Hope y'all have lots of work to do, and that you have a great week. So, some of these stocks are down pre-market. SPY down a 0.5%, with a lot of other names. I mean, Tesla down almost 5% in the pre-market. Crazy. But I think, at least for today, these dips can represent a possible decent buying opportunity here. AMD and TSm in particular are a couple chip making names that, in my opinion, will lead the space over the next 5 to 10 years. I've talked about AMD, and I've also talked about TSm and how they supply a lot of other chip makers with core components needed to produce their chips. And TSM has a earnings call Thursday with a market closed on Friday. So this could be interesting. I'm going to play it this week as a dip buying opportunity below 100 with the intent to sell Friday after hours, most likely, sell Thursday after hours, because I expect, now they've already said last week that this is going to be a record revenue ER. They've already said that, so we're expecting a big number. I know TSM's last earnings reports have been to the tunes of $15 billion. So why would this be any different? Or they've already said it's gonna beat this. So I mean, we're gonna get at least a 16 billion in revenue, which is huge. Now this company has a lot of shares trading, but I expect with a record revenue, I mean, the account should go up. Record revenue, right? Makes sense to me. Makes sense. All right, great. Well, if you had been watching, which I know nobody is, but if you had been, you probably might have been interested in investing in Oxy or XOM. In this move Oxy made on Friday, now, I was saying get in right here. You could have got in any of these days, any of these dips. My advice was just to start looking for some dip buying opportunity here with Oxy and XOM. And Friday, these oil stocks just went straight north. They are cooling off a touch, and that's likely because we see the crude oil futures dropping just a touch. So that makes sense there, and you see we are down a little bit on some of these oil and natural gas futures. Now, it's early in the week, right? This could still. So now the question would be, if if I'm an Oxy and XOM investor, do I sell this morning and try to reload lower? Possibly, you know. Probably should have sold Friday if you wanted to do that. But I don't know. I still think, I don't think these oil plays are going to have a mass exodus, because the situation is too too long at this point. The oil play is most likely going to take another month at least to see what happens and what the results of sanctions, and what are the results of not denominating oil in gas trade in dollar. So we don't know, and I think we're still going to need about a month to see what some of the global trade effects on the market will become. I think even we're still very similar to the lower end of where we were last week on the oil futures, and even on these NASDAQ and S&P futures, which we should see is 4,400. So this is low. I mean, this when the SPY was at 460, this was, I believe this was over 5,000 maybe. So it hasn't got back yet to December highs. So we'll see. I mean, tweet about TSM flow. All right, unusual whales, TSM flow. Pretty light. Average 3-day call volume 34K. Friday saw a call volume of 27K. Average 3-day put volume 26K. Friday was 22K. So TSM had a below average Friday for options buyers. That just means that it could really go any way this week, depending on which side the bets comes in. And my guess would be the bets for TSM this week are bullish. You're going to have a lot of investors that know these earnings are coming up ahead of time, and also know they're going to show a big revenue number. The only other news we had this morning was that Elon Musk is not going to join Twitter's board. So look out for the run-up in Twitter on the news he was joining to possibly reverse itself. And I would expect already probably a pretty big red pre-market. Yeah, I mean, so we got news, dip, recover. I would expect a lot more decline. I mean, I'm even interested if I'm gonna look in just look at some put options that open, just to see. So that's about it. I just thought I'd come and say hello and stick to this. Make myself a better trader. And if anybody gains any value from it, reach out to me. Find me on Twitter. My links are on YouTube. Reach out to me. If you know me and you see this, hit me up. Let me know what stocks you hold. Because that's what I think the power when retail comes together can beat these market makers. If the markets are true and fair like they said they are, and we get 1 million people to put $5 into a stock, you're gonna have more shares if you can collectively work as one retail mind. You're gonna have collectively more power and more weight than some of these hedge funds. Now, some of these hedge funds have a lot of shares of these companies, so it's it's gonna be tough. There's a lot of shares to buy up, but I mean, this is the fight that the AMC and GME traders are fighting, and it's a noble one. I don't know that the game is fair just yet, but we're fighting for a fair game. And I think any trader that's fighting for a fair game, regardless of what they do, they buy, hold, sell, while they're telling somebody else to do something, that's, whatever it is the goal to make the markets more fair and balanced, yes. But the goal is also to unite retail, and that's what I like about Bitcoin. That's what I like about AMD, is it's people out there that are sold and bought into the ideas of these ideas in these companies. Square's got a lot of people bought in, but I know AMD does. Twitter did without Elon Musk. Twitter may fall. Just gonna check my trades this morning. See what we need to do. I mean, AMD and TSm below 100 is all I need to know for this morning. And I'm gonna try to start small positions here. Let's see what happens. If I see them taking off, I'll probably be patient and try to buy on the next dip, especially on TSM heading into a Thursday earnings season. The one that I know is going to be good. I mean, unless they get some crazy rip up, TSM needs to be above $100, and I think is a decent odds bet this week. Okay, go charge a phone real quick. It's good coffee. I don't know. What else? What else should we buy? What else should we look at? I've been trying to get into Zim, ZIM, transportation company. And they've just been dropping. So they had a really nice ex-dividend of like $17 per share. And it was paid out pretty recently. And I mean, they were up at like 77, and I've just steady dropped since. You see the hard gap down. So they had a nice dividend payout and then sellers, which is to be expected. But transportation stocks in general last week were hit very, very hard. Very, very hard. So, I mean, I don't know if these were just underperforming the market last week during a decline, and if maybe we see a turnaround from the 6% drop on the NASDAQ last week, and some of these transportation stocks like a Ryder, like a Zim, can recover. But I'm going to be watching this transportation sector just to see. I think investors may have been expecting or thinking demand destruction is going to come quicker than expected. Again, we are going to have supply chain issues in the Q2, but I think the demand and the supply chain has been so backlogged that everything being made in Q1 was already sold. So we may see supply chain issues, and I think that will be a common occurrence of Q2 earnings, but we've got to realize that record revenue can also come with a couple kinks in the supply chain. Now, down the road, sustained, doesn't really set up nicely for growth. Doesn't really, set up nicely for inflation, because increased transportation costs are going to increase your final cost. So we'll see. We'll start to get some a feel for things during these Q2 earnings, which we have a bunch of them. We have a bunch of really good ones this week. So we got JP Morgan Tuesday. We're going to be looking to see if they have big paper losses or big realized losses from Russia. Otherwise, I would expect them to probably give us some insight on how the consumer is thinking, how much credit and debt the consumer is taking on, which shows that they're willing to spend. So we'll get some of these things along with probably other economic forecasts. So that'll be fun. And then we have TSm Thursday. There's a medical company, I think. So there's a decent gambit of earnings this week. JPM Tuesday and TSM Thursday are the two big ones I'm watching. And then we also get a March CPI data, which is expected to be the worst. So we'll be seeing at least 8% CPI year over year. Consumer price index, at least an 8% increase from year over year. That's the crazy thing with inflation, right? Is it's year over year. So the goal is 2% inflation year over year, which as somebody looking at an economy, that still doesn't even make sense to me that prices go up 2% year over year. Yeah, theoretically we should be making more products, making more money, have more money to spend, but it doesn't have to. I mean, these things could, average out, and we could just get a better sense on things if we didn't have to shoot or expect raising costs of living every year. So we'll see. It just makes the rat race that much more fun, and makes the dependence on the almighty dollar that much stronger. So we'll see. It is going to hurt the lower income before it hurts the higher wage earners. So we'll see. We'll see if we'll see how your Targets, your Walmarts. So some of these upcoming earnings could give us a indicator as to how spending in retail is, how auto spending is, how new home buying is, business spending. We'll get some more of this information, and we'll see how healthy the economy is. I don't know. Up or down this week? What do you guys think? I think it could be a mixed bag, for sure. I think it could be a mixed bag this week. I think if you've got a beaten down name you like, you can start to think about buying the dip. You can just start to think about buying the dip. Like Zim is a beaten down name I like, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on it because it's a dip. AMD and these chip makers, they didn't get the same run up as Apple, Google, Amazon got. And I think they've got some of the most potential in the tech sector. I think these should be some of the strongest names in the NASDAQ. But we'll see this week. Bitcoin's down. Let it come down a little bit. Don't chase anything, but then you could, start to think about buying the dip in some of these Bitcoin miners. If you're worried about Bitcoin miners as being imposing on environment, then you could look at some Bitcoin wallets. BKKT is undervalued. Essentially, BKKT is going to be a competitor of Coinbase. And you just see the difference in the valuations. Now, obviously, Coinbase is a much better app than BKKT, but I think what I like about BKKT is its ability to try and make deals with the business segment, with banks. Just going to scan the list here. AT&T up pre-market. All right, I'm gonna roll, y'all. Have a great day. Love and peace. God bless.